My name is Ash Varel, and I was a communications officer on the science vessel Halvin Tide. I want to tell you what happened on the day our ship broke apart in the dark, and what came to answer our call for help. I still think about it every night, not because it was terrible, because it changed the way I see the universe. We were mapping a quiet star system on the edge of Coalition space. Nothing about the mission felt dangerous. We had scanners, sample tubes, and 3 months of boring paperwork ahead of us. Then something hit our ship without warning. There was no message first, no threat, no warning shot. Just a sudden shake, alarms everywhere, and the smell of burnt wiring filling the hallways. I remember running to my station and finding half the lights dead. Captain Dore was shouting orders, but her voice was shaking. That scared me more than the explosion did. She never sounded scared. "Report," she said, gripping the edge of her chair. "Unknown vessel, closing fast," said Wren, our sensor officer. "Weapons signature does not match anything in our database." That was the moment I understood we were not dealing with pirates or smugglers. This was something new, something the Coalition had never mapped before, and it was already tearing through our hull like paper. We lost engines within minutes. Then we lost half our crew quarters. The ship groaned like a wounded animal, metal screaming against metal. I remember floating debris drifting past the windows, slow and silent, like the universe didn't care that we were dying. Captain Dore turned to me. "Ash, send the signal! All frequencies! Anyone who can hear us!" I opened every channel we had. My hands were shaking so hard I almost typed the wrong sequence. I sent our location, our situation, and a simple plea. "We are dying. Please help us." Then we waited. Coalition protocol says help should come from the nearest fleet outpost. That was 6 hours away, and we did not have 6 hours. Wren checked every frequency band we used for Coalition communication, and there was nothing. No fleet ships nearby, no merchant convoys, nothing. Then old Serena, our engineer, laughed a tired, bitter laugh. "There is one more channel," she said. "The human channel." Nobody wanted to say it out loud, but everyone on that bridge knew what she meant. Humans. The species other worlds whispered about but rarely invited to gatherings. Not because they were unfriendly, because they were strange. Because their history was full of survival stories that made other species uncomfortable. Because when Coalition worlds needed peacekeepers for diplomatic summits, they picked calm, careful species. When they needed someone to face true danger, the rumors said humans were the ones nobody wanted to ask, because once you asked, you owed them something you could never repay. "Send it," Captain Dore said. "I don't care who answers. I want my crew alive." I sent the signal on the human frequency. It felt strange, like knocking on a door I wasn't sure I should open. We got a response in less than a minute. That surprised all of us. The Coalition Rescue Channel usually took hours to confirm receipt. This answer came instantly, short and calm. "Location confirmed. Inbound." That was it. No questions, no paperwork, no confirmation codes. Just 2 words that meant someone, somewhere, was already changing course to come find us. For a moment, hope filled the bridge. Then Wren checked the sensors again, and her face went pale. "Captain, I have a contact, but it is only one ship." "One ship?" Dore repeated. "Just one?" "Yes. And Captain, the signature is—" Wren paused, staring at her screen like she didn't believe what she was reading. "It doesn't match any listed rescue class. It doesn't match any Coalition class at all." I remember feeling a strange chill at those words. A single unknown ship, coming toward a battlefield where an unidentified predator vessel had already crippled us, with no backup and no fleet support. Either the humans were incredibly brave, or they simply didn't understand how dangerous the situation was. I was wrong on both counts. The ship arrived faster than I expected. It didn't look like the rescue vessels I had seen in Coalition training videos. Those ships were wide, white, covered in medical symbols and soft lighting. This ship was narrow, dark gray, moving with a kind of quiet precision that made my skin prickle. It didn't broadcast friendly greetings or peaceful intentions. It simply moved toward us in a straight, confident line, the way a person walks toward a task they've done 100 times before. "Ship identification," Dore said quietly. Wren read the name off her screen, and I watched her hand tremble slightly. "The listing says Wanderer's Edge. Classification: unknown. But Captain, there's a note attached from an old Coalition threat assessment file. It says this ship has been sighted 3 times before, always near conflict zones, always right before something dangerous stopped being dangerous. Nobody on the bridge spoke for a moment. I think we were all trying to decide if that was good news or bad news. The Predator ship that attacked us had been circling, like it was deciding whether to finish us off or study us first. When the Wanderer's Edge appeared, the Predator ship paused. I remember watching the sensor readout, watching that unknown enemy vessel actually slow down, as if it recognized the new arrival and didn't like what it saw. That told me more than any spoken warning could have. Whatever this Predator ship was, it had learned to fear something, and that something was now heading straight for us. The Wanderer's Edge docked with a firm, mechanical clunk that shook through our broken hull. There was no soft, careful alignment like Coalition ships used. It attached itself with blunt efficiency, like it trusted its own strength completely. 3 humans came through the airlock. I expected soldiers in heavy armor, or medics in white coats. Instead, I saw ordinary-looking people in simple gray suits, carrying equipment cases that looked worn from years of use. They moved fast, but not in a panicked way. It was the kind of fast that comes from practice, from doing something so many times that your body knows exactly what to do without thinking. The lead human, a woman with short dark hair and calm eyes, looked around the wrecked bridge for exactly 2 seconds before speaking. "How many wounded?" Captain Doré blinked, surprised by the directness. 12, maybe more in the lower decks. "Show me the fastest route," the woman said. She didn't ask about the danger outside. She didn't ask about the enemy ship still lurking nearby. She only asked about our wounded. I led 2 of them toward the lower decks myself, since I knew the layout better than most. Along the way, I saw things that stayed with me. I saw one of the humans lift a piece of broken metal off a trapped crew member with his bare hands, grunting with effort, but never slowing down. I saw the woman calmly instruct another crew member on how to apply pressure to a wound, speaking in a steady, gentle voice, even as the ship shook from another distant impact outside. They didn't flinch at the blood. They didn't flinch at the wreckage. They moved through our broken ship like it was simply another day at work. At one point, Serena asked the woman, whose name I later learned was Dr. Mireille Okafor, if she was afraid. Dr. Okafor looked at her for a moment, thinking about the question seriously instead of brushing it off. "I used to be," she said. "A long time ago, but fear doesn't help the person bleeding in front of you, so I put it somewhere else and deal with it later." I didn't understand what she meant until much later. While the medical team worked, I overheard a message coming through on their communication device. A man's voice, calm but serious, spoke a short sentence that made Dr. Okafor go still for a moment. "Confirmed hostile is drift class. Recommend immediate engagement before it recovers." Drift class? I had never heard that term before. I later learned it was a human classification, not a Coalition one. It meant the Coalition sensors had failed to properly identify the attacker, but human intelligence recognized the signature instantly. It was a predator species humans had encountered before, one that fed on ships and crews unlucky enough to wander into its path. Dr. Okafor turned to Captain Doré. "We need 10 more minutes to stabilize your crew. My ship will handle the threat outside." "You have 1 vessel," Doré said, her voice tight with concern. "That thing nearly destroyed us in minutes." Dr. Okafor gave her a small, tired smile. It wasn't a smile of confidence or pride. It was the smile of someone who had faced this exact fear many times before and learned how to live beside it. "It nearly destroyed you because you didn't know what it was," she said. "We do." I didn't fully understand her words until I watched what happened next, through a cracked viewport near the medical bay. The Wanderer's Edge detached from our hull and turned to face the Predator ship. I expected it to retreat, to call for backup, to do anything except approach something that had already crippled a working Coalition vessel. Instead, it moved forward, steady and unafraid, like a person walking toward a task they had already planned out in their mind. The Predator ship reacted immediately, turning its main weapons toward the new threat. For a moment, I thought we were about to witness the same destruction that had almost ended us, but the Wanderer's Edge didn't slow down. It adjusted its path with sharp, precise movements. avoiding the first strike with barely a change in its course. Then its own weapons activated. I had never seen anything like it. The light was clean and focused, nothing like the chaotic energy blasts I had read about in coalition defense manuals. It struck with pinpoint accuracy, disabling one of the Predator ship's main systems in a single motion. The Predator ship shuddered, its movements becoming erratic. It tried to flee, engines flaring in a desperate burst of speed, but the Wanderer's Edge matched its pace easily, cutting off its escape route with calm, controlled precision. Within minutes, the Predator ship stopped moving entirely. Its systems powered down, drifting silently in the dark, like a wounded creature finally accepting defeat. The Wanderer's Edge did not destroy it. It simply disabled it, then held position nearby, watching, making sure the threat was truly finished. I stood there, staring through that cracked viewport, feeling something I couldn't quite describe. It wasn't fear exactly. It was closer to awe, mixed with a strange kind of unease. I had just watched a single, small ship face something that had crippled our entire vessel, and it had done so with almost no hesitation. When the medical team finished stabilizing our wounded, Dr. Okafor gathered her equipment and prepared to leave. Before she stepped through the airlock, Captain Dore stopped her. "Why did you come?" Dore asked. "We are not part of your alliance. We have no formal treaty with your people." Dr. Okafor paused, thinking about the question carefully. "Because you sent a signal saying you were dying," she said simply. "That was enough. But why send a ship like that? Why not request a coalition rescue fleet alongside you?" Dr. Okafor glanced toward the viewport, where the Wanderer's Edge still floated quietly beside the disabled Predator vessel. "Because a fleet takes hours to organize," she said, "and your crew didn't have hours. My ship was close, and it was capable of doing what needed to be done. That's why we sent it." I remember Serena asking one more question before they left. "Doctor, what is your ship actually for? It doesn't look like a warship. It doesn't look like a rescue ship either." Dr. Okafor smiled again, that same tired, knowing smile. "It's both," she said. "Where I come from, we learned a long time ago that rescue and danger often arrive together. So we built ships that could handle either one, because we never know which one we'll need until we get there." After they left, our ship limped slowly back toward coalition space, escorted at a distance by the Wanderer's Edge, until backup finally arrived. I spent that journey thinking about everything I had seen, the calm efficiency, the lack of fear, the quiet confidence of people who had clearly faced far worse dangers than the one we had barely survived. When we finally reached the coalition outpost, Captain Dore filed a full report about the incident. I remember reading through some of the coalition's older files afterward, out of curiosity. There were notes about human ships appearing near dangerous situations before, always arriving quickly, always handling threats that other species avoided. There was a phrase in one old report that stayed with me. It said humans were rarely invited to peaceful diplomatic summits, not because they were unwelcome, but because their presence made peaceful negotiations feel unnecessary. Other species often assumed humans preferred solving problems through conflict. But after what I witnessed, I began to understand it differently. Humans were not invited to conversations about peace because they were dangerous. They were invited to situations where danger had already arrived, because they knew how to face it without losing themselves in fear. I think about Dr. Okafor's words often. Fear doesn't help the person bleeding in front of you, so you put it somewhere else and deal with it later. I think about how she said it so simply, as if it was just something practical, something anyone could learn if they tried hard enough. Maybe that's the real difference between humans and the rest of us. Not strength, not weapons, not fearlessness, just the choice to act despite fear, again and again, until it becomes part of who they are. Our SOS reached Deathworlders that day. They didn't send a fleet of rescue ships or a formal alliance response. They sent one small, quiet, perilous vessel, crewed by people who treated danger like just another task to complete before lunch. I used to think that made them frightening. Now, I think it makes them exactly the kind of neighbors you want nearby, when the universe finally decides to show you how dark it can really be. I still don't fully understand humans. I doubt I ever will. But I know this much for certain. When the distress call goes out, and the silence stretches on, and hope feels impossible, I hope someone remembers to check the human channel. Because sometimes, the most dangerous ship in the room is exactly the one you need on your side.